So I think I've misunderstood mentors for most of my adult life. People talk about finding a mentor as if there's supposed to be one person somewhere who knows the route, yeah? Someone a bit older, a bit wiser, a bit more successful, who appears at the right time and explains the rules before you make too much of a mess. And I understand why people say it, yeah? It's a nice idea. It'd be useful to have someone who'd already walked that road, looked back and said, mind out for that bit. That's where people usually fail. But I think that most ordinary people get that. Most people don't get the film version, they don't get the quiet old export in the workshop, the perfect chef after service, or the successful relative who sits them down and explains money, work, pressure, all those things. How to build a life without slowly disappearing into it. Most people just pick things up as they go. That was probably true for me, yeah. I didn't count it at the time because it didn't look official, yeah. Nobody agreed to mentor me. Nobody had taken responsibility for explaining life, There wasn't a clear person who I could point to and say, that's who I learned everything from. That's who taught me to be who I am. It's messier than that. Life's always messy. There was things Mum said, things me Nan said, yeah, things Chef shouted across kitchens, sometimes in ways that were useful and sometimes in ways that were less useful. As managers showed me what standards were like, and managers showed me who I didn't want to become, yeah? As you absorb books, interviews, documentaries, business programs, people on the internet, people I worked with for, just a few months, never see again. But that didn't feel like mentorship. That just felt like life. But maybe that's what mentorship is for a lot of people, yeah? Not one big, clean relationship, not one wise guide, yeah? Just fragments that stay with you. I was looking at my bookshelf the other day, and there's a mix of people on there. It's a bit ridiculous, There's who we got on there? We got Mick Foley, we've got Jackie Chan, Frank Bruno, Gordon Ramsay, Richard Rawlins, Heston Blumenthal, James Caan, Ramit Sethi, yeah? That's not a tidy personal development plan. It looks like, can you imagine all those people sitting around a table at a dinner party? It'd be chaos. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Because I don't think I ever needed one of these people to be the answer. I just need bits of them at different times, at certain times, yeah? That's where I think I was getting it wrong. I confused admiration with imitation. Yeah? If I respected someone, part of me thought I had to become more like them, yeah? More resilient, more disciplined, whatever. Just more sorted, really. That's a dangerous trap. Because eventually, you're not learning from people anymore. You're just trying to replace yourself with them. But that never really works. You can't copy someone else's life and expect it to fit your own because you haven't had their childhood, their timing, their money, their relationships with other people, yeah? Their opportunities are going to be different. You've got your own family, your own pressures, your own jobs. So it's you it wouldn't be useful to become them because it's very different lives. But maybe you just need to notice what they understood and take that from them. How can I explain this? Let's take Mick Foley, yeah? Mick Foley is endurance, yeah? It's not a clean, motivational kind of endurance. It's very uncomfortable, yeah? It's the kind where carrying on costs something. And you pretending it didn't hurt would be dishonest, yeah? Jackie Chan is just competence, yeah? Being built through failure, yeah? Awkwardness, repetition, and looking ridiculous before anything starts to look natural. Frank Bruno, yeah? He brings, complicated strength. And how being strong and cheerful and loved, it relied upon, it doesn't mean that everything's okay underneath. These aren't complete life philosophies, yeah? They're just bits that you can use, you can borrow, and you can adapt them to be part of you, yeah? You think about work. Obviously, I'm a chef, so Gordon Ramsay, yeah? I don't take the shouting part from Gordon Ramsay, yeah? That you've missed the point if you're copying that. The bit you copy is to care, yeah? The standards, that what you put out matters, that your name is attached to that work, and you have to be passionate about that work. But, them standards on their own, they turn you rigid, you have to be flexible. So you get someone like Heston Blumenthal, yeah? Who, his life has just been, why are we doing it this way? Is there a better way of doing this? Are what we doing, is it the best way, or are we just doing it because that's what was done before and that's what's familiar? And this isn't just a kitchen thing, yeah? This is everything in life, Why do I always do this same thing? Why do me, think that rest has to be earned, yeah? Why do I treat pressure like proof I'm doing something important? Why am I still using methods I inherited from people who were only surviving themselves? That kind of questioning can get irritating because it doesn't let you hide behind habit, yeah? But it's useful questioning. Then there's people who make you look at something rough and, is it actually finished? Or is it just neglected? Does it still need work? Are we there? Or is there still more processes to be done? Yeah? Richard Rawlings, that's what he does. Yeah, okay, he's flashy, it's cars and it's noise, it's business, but there's something there about seeing potential in things that other people would write off, yeah? And a lot of people need that thought. I'm not saying that life is, a classic car waiting for the big reveal at the end and, oh, it's lovely. Yeah. But, you know, things that look broken are maybe just not being maintained, and they've been left too long without proper attention. And that's not just a physical thing. That can be, your plans. That can be your career. That can be true of a person. James Caan is on the bookshelf, yeah? And from him, you get that you need to back yourself before you can be certain. It's uncomfortable, yeah? If you're used to waiting for other people to make you feel ready. And I get it. A lot of people are like that. They want to wait for permission before being allowed to do things. But real decisions often they happen before the confidence is there. You have to earn that confidence. You have to build that confidence from putting yourself out there and doing these things. The confidence comes from the results. The results don't come from the confidence. It doesn't work that way. And now then we come on to money. And money's not just money, is it? You know that. We all know that. That money gets tangled up, yeah, with shame, guilt, pride, family, and what you think people are allowed to want, yeah? So from Rami, you get that money is just a tool. It's not proof that you're good, yeah? It's not proof that you're bad. It's an infrastructure, yeah? It gives you breathing room, it gives you options. It's just a tool for building a life. Now, none of these people are the whole answer, but that's exactly what I'm saying. That's the whole point, yeah? I don't need Mick Foley to explain money to me. I don't need Gordon Ramsay to explain rest. I'm not going to ask Rami about resilience, yeah? None of these people are perfect, and I don't agree with everything that all of them say all the time. But I take that useful piece, yeah? The piece that helps with the fight that's in front of me. Life doesn't always... it doesn't ask one question, yeah? The question changes constantly. Some days, the question is whether you can keep going. Some days, it's whether you're being brave or you're just being stubborn, yeah? Some days, it's whether you're genuinely responsible or whether you've just built your identity around being needed. Yeah, some days it's just that strange realization that the version of you who's been coping might not be actually living very much. One person can't answer all of that. No one. No one's that complete. So maybe the search for one perfect mentor was always the wrong search, yeah? Maybe most of us are just built from fragments. Does that make sense? I think so. Yeah? Just a bit of resilience from one place, a bit of craft from another, a warning from someone who we don't want to be like, yeah? A sentence that you read in a book a long time ago, yeah? A mistake that you don't want to repeat. Yet maybe there's a person that you admired for one thing that they did, and that's fine. Take that one thing, yeah? But would you want their whole life? And that's the key thing. Would you want their whole life? You can learn from someone without making them a saint. You can take a useful truth from an imperfect person, yeah? You'll be shaped by someone's strength and still see that they've got flaws, yeah? You can even be mentored by a bad example because, sometimes a person teaches you by just showing you how not to be, and you think to yourself, no, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to live like that person. And that still counts, yeah? Warnings count. Damage counts. The things that disturb you count. Not every mentor shows you the path, yeah? Some of them show you the ditch at the side of the path that you don't want to fall in. And maybe that's how people become themselves. It's not a dramatic Disney transformation, yeah? You don't copy one impressive person. You don't find a finished map to the treasure, yeah? You just collect the pieces. You test them. You see if they work in your life, yeah? And then you keep what works. You lose the things that don't, yeah? And you're slowly learning that what feels true and what helps you survive your week, yeah? Because it is your week. It's your choices at the end of it, yeah? Your job. It's your children, your family, your mistakes, your responsibilities. And, if you're lucky, you learn the right things and it stops being imitation. It just gets worn in and becomes part of you. It's not perfect, yeah? It's not clean. It doesn't become a finished version of you. It's just more honesty, yes. And maybe that's all a mentor is sometimes, yeah? Not someone who gives you the whole answer. Just someone who gave you one useful piece at the right time. Because it's one fight at a time. Yeah? One mentor at a time. And you choose how it ends.